This is it, so I coming at you with another Cardfight area game. Today we got Minerva versus Minerva, so it's a mirror match. So I do get all my rides, grade 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, I don't get my break ride. So I gotta go first. I do draw a perfect art, so that's perfect because I'm versing Minerva, so it's great to save up on your perfect arts. Since Minerva doesn't need to hit or not hit to stand, like on some cards. And it also gains 5,000, so it's a really consistent card. And then here you can see he cheats a little bit here, but I didn't really care at this point. I let it go because it's the beginning of the game, and because he got a drive check he didn't like, so he shuffled it and put it back. I let it go, because I didn't really care. So I'll attack, no guards. He checks the cider. I checked the grape, which of grapes, but they really matter. So I go attack, so he's at 2 damage. He checks the Samohime. So this point's 2 to 1. So he rides the Samohime. I'll guard for 1. He does hit a crit, so unfortunately. But one thing is, with Sabohimes, it's not a bad card to put in Minerva deck, but I only suggest you run 2 if you want to put it in, because if you're gonna run the Soul Charge on the Soul Blast card, Soul Charge 2 cards, you don't want to be Soul Charging so much because you only really need 9 Soul, because you only need 3 for Break Ride, 3 for Limit Break. When you Break Ride, you go Limit Break with Minerva, and then you're gonna need 3 more for Limit Break for next turn if you didn't finish him off when you Break Ride. So you pretty much only need the Limit Break twice with Minerva. Or once, depending on when you know how to use it, right? So I go ahead and ride Minerva. I Soul Charge 1 attack. He no guards. There's the Break Ride. Unfortunately, I didn't Soul Charge it. But that's fine because I can ditch it with my Perfect Guard and still have something for Owl to target. So I can put power to one of my Regalia units. So I do check a crit, so I'd force my opponent to go to 4 damage. Unless he can get a heal on his 4th damage, or his 2nd damage check of the turn. And I put the power to Jupiter, so it's that way if he does get a trigger, it's still 10k. The guard. And then yeah, he's got 3 Silvahemas here, so I don't know what kind of build he's playing, but my opinion, you don't want to run more than 2 Silvahemas because then you kind of soul charge too much there. And I like running Witch of Birds and Witch of Frogs, so that way you really can call units when you need them, so that way you Soul Blast cards, but that way you're still getting some use out of them all the time. So he damage checks 2 grade 3s, and he's at 5 damage, so it's 5 to 3, really good right now. But I like playing Witch of Frogs and Witch of Birds because one, say I'm playing Link Joker, I leave my field open a little bit because that way I can just Soul Blast and call them to regard, and that way he has to be like, do I want to Break Ride? Because if I Break Ride, he only can knock the starter if I still have the starter around there. Yeah, so I guard for no pass there because I don't want to Soul Charge anymore. And I don't want to lose my damage lead, so I go and call a Break Ride. He guards with Cider. Cider goes into the Soul because it's still. I Soul Charge with Starter skill. And attack. He Quintet Walls, which is fine because I know that way he has one less Sentinel card in the deck. So I check a crit. I'll put it all to Jupiter, but one thing is, if I was him, I would have used different cards to guard because I would save the Quintet Wall when I either go Limit Break or if I use Owl's skill, because it's a really good way that way to go. So I mean, Minerva is really good at generating advantage, really. So now attack is Vanguard, 15k guard. And you can see he's playing both of the 12k attackers, so I'm guessing he's trying to play a more power build, but Minerva is still good without that. So he tries to attack the Vanguard, but he doesn't realize that he can't get the 3,000 of power. Side guard. He doesn't want to highlight my rear guards for some reason. I don't know why. It's a lot easier when you highlight the opponent's rear guards which one you're going to attack, so it's easier for them to tell. So here I guard for no pass again, so he gets an owl. Again, I'm willing to guard a lot, and I didn't want to lose Jupiter because that's 12 plus 6, it's an 18k, so if he does Riot, I know he has a break right installed by now probably. So that way I can still attack Crossfire and force 10k guard. And then I don't want to take any damage because if he gets his grade 3, and I'll probably let the first attack go through if it's Minerva, so that way if he hits a crit I can still be at 5, and then I can perfect guard the second attack, because second attack is pretty much the dangerous one because by that point he either has one or more crits on there if he checked a crit. So I attack his Vanguard with the Break Ride, and he guards with Cider again, so I'll attack with the Vanguard now. He gives me 2 to pass. I check Witch of Birds. And then I check the Break Ride. So again, I'm just gonna ditch this for Owl to use when perfect guard if he gets if I need to perfect guard his attack. So I'll just attack his Vanguard, force another 10k from his hand. So he finally draws his grade 3, so calls his Owl. Surprisingly, he doesn't use Owl's skill, so I know guard the Vanguard. He checks him in Minerva. And he checks critical trigger. Again, he drew it there. At least he didn't shuffle this time, trying to cheat. So that's probably because he got the crit that he wanted. So that's crit. So yeah, he's gonna force me to 5 damage. Get a heal doesn't really matter because he's at 5. So, but I do get the power, so that way I force the Jupiter column to be a 5k guard. But unless he gets a trigger, then it'll be a 10k guard. He put the power on his Vanguard. And then I checked an Owl, which isn't too bad, but so he goes ahead and limit breaks. See, one thing I like to play draws because, like, when you're in situations like this where we only have 3 cards in your hand and he has to discard them for limit break. If you hit a draw trigger, you kind of get back the cards you had a little bit. And also sometimes if you don't hit break ride, that way you can still get a good hand advantage because I've tried running 12 crits before and it didn't really work out. Once I started running draws, it worked really good. So yeah, then I'll perfect guard this one. He checks a crit, so he's going to put all the power on Jupiter. And it's just a 10k guard for me. Then here I should have guarded with my other critical trigger because I could have put that card in Soul and give power to the Vanguard. So that way I can deal with not being cross-rided. and also get another card in soul. So I go and use Owl skill, pump up my rear guard, Regalia, Angelica, because I know I have Witcher Frogs in soul, so that way I can go Witcher Frogs, call it to the same cons, Regalia, Angelica, and really pressure my opponent. So he not guards this one, so he's open for a heal trigger. I get a Quintet Wall. And Witcher Birds. So yeah, he's really hoping for that heal trigger now. So he does get the heal, so he survives that attack, luckily for him. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go Limit Break, so I'm gonna ditch both Witch of Birds in my hand and Minerva. So that way, because I'll keep my Quintet Wall and I'll keep the 10k shield. And I'll go ahead and Soul Blast Witch of Frogs. And call it to right behind Regalia Angelica. Gonna take Vanguard until he makes it for 2 to pass, so I get a crit, so I'm gonna put it all on Angelica. So that way it's a 15k guard with 2 crit. Then I check a perfect guard, so yeah, I'm pretty much set. So even if he survives this, I can go Quintet Wall from Minerva, then I can go perfect guard, and then I still have a 10k and an intercept for Jupiter. So I can guard all his attacks unless he calls another rear guard. But I doubt he will because he'll need the cards in hand. So I'll attack, he no guard, so this is pretty much game. So this is it, so he's signing out. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.